Welcome to the show, Colin. That was just beautiful.
Thanks.
You're doing the more acoustic stuff and intimate type places now compared to the days of 150,000 seat theatres. Which do you prefer?
Oh, you know, you do them all, really. You know, I mean, necessity, really. It was necessity. I mean, when my band broke up, I got dropped from a couple of major record labels. So, you know, you think, well, what am I going to do? And you play your natural game and play to your strengths, which was to... the simplest thing I could think of to do is play the acoustic guitar and sing songs, and so when you do that, it's what I started out doing, you know. So it's, I don't know, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and you just keep going in a straight line, you know. So it's very different, yeah. It's what happened to my band was, I think, a phenomenon in the true sense of the word, you know. It exploded, and yeah, we did huge places, toured for 3 years to 150,000 people was the biggest show and stuff, but it's you know, it was amazing. You know,
it was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
You were, as I mentioned in the intro, Colin, the biggest band in the world.
For a couple of minutes, I think, you know.
Yeah. But, I mean, you literally were. Some people sort of say they think they're famous when it's only a slow news day, but you were there for a big chunk of time.
Yeah.
The heady days, that excitement, was it glamorous? Was it exciting?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew you'd say that.
No, it was. It was fantastic, you know.
What were the best bits?
Just going to, you know, many different countries that you've never been to before. Every night, you know, you play in front of 10 or 20,000 people, and they clap you when you play these songs, and it's a pretty amazing kind of thing to. It's an incredible job to have. You know, it's not very many jobs where you go to work and you know, work for for a couple of hours and people clap you, you know.
Not in Jeff's case.
No, it's a remarkable thing, you know.
Was it glamorous?
Well, it's more tiring. No, it's not really. I thought it would be more glamorous, you know, but...
it wasn't glamorous?
Well, you know, it had its moments, you know. I mean, I think that, you know, we won a Grammy for Best New Artist / Kiss of Death Award, you know, in 1983, you know, and yeah, and, you know, our dressing room was next to Miles Davis and Ella Fitzgerald and Lena Horne and, you know, all these people, and, you know, Little Richard and Jerry Lee Lewis and Ray Charles were doing a trio there playing together, and I was standing side stage, and yeah, it's pretty exciting, and Little Richard runs off the stage and says, you know, how was I? And I said, oh, you were great. And he said, I know I was great, but could you feel me? Could you feel me? I didn't really understand, really, but, you know, it was funny, you know. So yeah, lots of just stuff, things that I've forgotten about. You know, I remember silly things though, like what, you know, like stupid things, like not particularly glamorous things, like what guys say to me after a show in Morwell or something in Victoria. You know, as a, you know, people say very drunk. You have lots of drunken men come up and try and bond with you. Yeah, yeah. You're talking about that before.
Yeah, well, we're just talking about bonding, so it's happening out there. So what sort of drunken men approach you, Colin?
Oh, all kinds. You know, all kinds, and. But you know, they say things like, you know, where'd you get your glass eye? And I say, I haven't got a glass eye. I haven't got a glass eye. And then there's a pause, and then it's like, oh, what's it made of? Stupid things like that. I don't know why I remember stuff like that, but you know. I should remember other things like people I've met, but I don't. I remember like guys from Morwell, you know.
They made an impact, huh? The bonding process.
It's funny, you know. It is very funny. Or you know, playing after the Men at Work broke up, and you know, I was playing up, and I think it was at the Bridge Hotel in Mildura. You know, and Men at Work broke the record for the most number of people in the room, you know, and then when I played by myself there or with another band, I broke the record again for the least number of people, you know. And there was no one in the room, just me and the crew, and I was, you know, it was a low point, you could say, you know, and but eventually this disco closed across the road, and about 50 or 60 people came across, and I played Down Under, you know, and this old guy, about 60, he hadn't been home yet, you know, with the guys with the suit and the tie. He's trying to get the girl behind the bar to go up to the snow with him and all that stuff, you know. And, you know, that kind of gig, you know. He hasn't been home from work, and I played down and he gets out on the dance floor, and after the gig was finished, he comes and kicks the door open. He goes, mine, nah, yeah, that Down Under, mate. Yeah, you play that better than the original. it's also like an attitude thing. You know, you can think, well, this is what it's come to, or this is where I spring from. You know, it's just a matter of how you look at it.
Yeah. That Aussie sense of humour?
Yeah, well, you know, I've just done a month tour around Australia, and it's very, very funny, you know, the things that... I just, you know, I'd sing songs and tell people a lot. I talk a lot of rubbish, really, in my show, you know, but I try and weave the songs together with tales of what happens to you, and the truth is funny, you know, as it happens, you know. I find that funnier than the glamorous stuff, you know. It's like very ordinary things, very funny.
But people love the names, knowing what people like in the business, knowing, you know, if you ran into Ella Fitzgerald in, you know, in the corridor, or Jerry Lee Lewis or Little Richard, they love those stories.
Yeah, well, I had a experience years ago where I met, very briefly, I met Jack Nicholson. I had an album, my first solo album was called Looking for Jack, you know, and it wasn't about Jack Nicholson, but I had this song, Looking For, and I wasn't quite sure what to, you know, how to finish the song off. It was really a song about Los Angeles, how people in Los Angeles always seem to be looking for something, and no one really knows what they're really looking for, but it's a mecca for that, you know. And I was at a concert and I saw Jack Nicholson. I said, oh, I can't miss out on this opportunity. So I went up to him and I said, excuse me, Mr. Nicholson, my name's Colin Hay. I used to sing with a band called Men at Work. And, I just want to say I'm a great big fan of yours. And he looked at him and he said, I can't hear you. And I got a bit embarrassed and ran into the green room, and I was talking to a couple of girls, and then he came into the green room and made a beeline right for me and said, I just want to say I'm a great big fan of yours too. And I got very elated, and I got very excited, and he ran and then he walked off, you know. And I was talking to this girl, and she was talking to me, and I kept on looking over her shoulder, and she said, what are you doing, Colin? You know, and I said, oh, you have to excuse me, I'm just looking for Jack. And she said, yeah, everybody's always looking for Jack. So that's one of those stories where I think, you know, it doesn't have a punchline, you know. And I got halfway through it and I thought, well, I don't know where this is going, you know, and usually at this point, you know, see, when I do my show, a lot of my stories, because I'm not a comedian or anything like that, you know, but my stories don't go anywhere, so I go, oh, that's right, I'm not actually a storyteller, I play the guitar and sing for a living, and so I can play a tune, and get out of it that way, you know.
Well, what I'd love to do, I mean, as a personal favour for me, the Men at Work with Down Under had to be the national anthem, the unofficial national anthem.
It's funny that, because it's not particularly, you know, we didn't go across wagging a flave, you know, wagging a flave. Wagging a flave. I'm gonna...
Gee, what time is it? Have you been to lunch yet? No. You've turned into that guy out of Victoria.
No, it doesn't take very much. No, it was started off. Do you want to hear a wee bit?
I'd love that. But, that's a real treat.
Is it? Well, wait till you've heard the see thing then. Well, yeah, it started off as a little acoustic song, you know, and it wasn't kind of... anyhow, I'll just shut up and play it. I'll play the first verse, all right? That'll be enough. Traveling in a fried-out combi on a hippie trail head full of zombies. I met a strange lady, she made me nervous. She took me in and gave me breakfast. She said, do you come from a land down under? The women glow and the men they plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover, yeah, yeah. That's another one of those songs, you know, where people don't know the words to the chorus, you know. They know the first line. They go, living in land down under. And then they go, cover.
No wonder you've turned to acting. You're acting these days as well. As a musician, how big an actor are you?
I do what I can do, you know. You kind of play to your strengths. Sometimes you don't realise what they are until you're forced into that situation, you know. I started off just telling people what happened to me, and people seemed to like it, you know, in my shows, and it sort of grew from there.
Well, it's great fun, and I hope everyone in the audience today, as well as out there, have enjoyed it as much as I have today. Colin, it's a real treat to have you.
Pleasure.
Especially doing that last little bit. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for the song earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Colin Hay.